Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 22 of the Dark Horde podcast. And we have a special guest today, someone that was recommended by the one and only Addie, which we know her as the daughter of a nightmare. What names? These names are crazy, but they are fantastic because thanks to her and the great time that we had with her when she was on the podcast, she introduced us to this next young lady all the way out from the UK, and it is the Renaissance witch, known as, properly named Charlotte. Charlotte, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having me.
Now, the funny thing is that we realized that there's a 6-hour difference, and this is why, because people are saying, why is the podcast so early? It's because right now, it is actually midnight in the UK right now.
It is.
Yes.
It's the middle of the night.
It's the middle of the night. But thank goodness that Charlotte is a night owl. So we are going to jump right into this. I don't want to keep you into this whole podcast thing forever. I'm sure you're going to get some sleep eventually. So
I'll be fine.
You'll be fine. That's fantastic.
I'll sleep tomorrow.
That's right. Well, actually, it is tomorrow for you.
Yeah. Well, What is time anyway?
Right, exactly. So I want to say first hello to a couple of the guys that are in the live chat already. Green Man and Pucky. They're here. They're ready to listen to the story of Charlotte. So Charlotte, tell us a little bit about your gifts and when did you first figure out that you can do these amazing things?
Oh my goodness. That's a really good question because it's kind of something that for me crept in very slowly. So, I mean, I think for most people it starts when you're very young. You kind of have an awareness of abilities. Like I remember as a child seeing a lot of ghosts and being just scared out of my mind and not enjoying it. Right. And it was kind of like as I grew up, I started to understand that not everyone they do have the same abilities as me, that I was a bit different, a little bit of a weirdo, a little bit of an outcast. It's fine, we're cool. Mm-hmm. But I kind of slowly found my way to witchcraft, and then that gave me the full understanding to what I actually can do. So my mediumship abilities and my kind of psychic abilities and then my energetic healing abilities kind of all came into play with that, and then through the connections I've made through discovering the whole witch community. So It's been a journey. It's not something that happened overnight. It kind of like slowly crept up on me. So
when you say that you started seeing ghosts at an early age, around what age would you say it was that you first seen the spirits and things like that?
Maybe like 7 or 8. Like I was pretty young. That house that I was in when I was a kid, like growing up, it was, haunted. My sister would see the same things. Like we never discussed it as we grew up. We just kind of both saw it, and like we never talked about it. And then later we talked about it and it was like, oh yeah, you used to see that figure in the doorway too. Okay, I saw that as well. That was terrifying. And we used to fight over the bedroom upstairs because that was the one away from the shadow that used to stand in the doorway, and we were both scared of the shadow.
Yes, I've seen the shadow.
Yeah,
not the same shadow
in the doorway. I've had a lot of like sleep paralysis as well growing up, and my mum never used to believe me. And then my mum got a job working in a hospice, and she saw a lot of ghosts there. And then she's like, "Okay, yeah, now I believe you." And she's shared all her stories with me now. So,
yeah, and it's funny. Growing up as a kid, we also had, and I think I shared it with Addie too, that we had a room, one specific room that was just horrific. It was horrible. And no one wanted to sleep in that room, just like in your experience. No one wanted to be there, not even during the daytime. It was just terrible. But now, is your sister, does she have the same abilities as well, or has that kind of faded away?
My sister is very different to me. I think that she has them, but she's very like pragmatic about things. She's very empathetic, and she's like the loveliest person ever, but she's a lot more down to earth. Like I'm away with the fairies most of the time. So polar opposites there, but she does definitely have something, but it's just like she has to turn it on, and she's turned it off instead. It runs in the family, because my family comes from half of my family, my dad's side comes from Germany, and my grandmother on that side has abilities that run through that whole bloodline. So all of the women in that family have abilities and see things and hear things, and it's kind of common knowledge.
Yeah, I could only imagine, to be honest, because I think, once we left that one place and it was so freaking haunted, after that, things just calmed down altogether. It was once in a while you see things, but it just settled down. But how was it to be Charlotte having these abilities in high school?
I was just the weirdo. Like,
really?
I don't know what to say. I was a theatre kid, a dancer. Like, I just kind of like put my energy into like creative pursuits because like the regular kids thought I was a weirdo. So I got taken into the eclectic group of people, and then it was kind of okay because they were also a little bit different. But it was tricky for a while there. Like, I hated school. I was so happy to leave. But that definitely wasn't my best memories.
Yeah. Have you ever had a situation where you either had like for lack of a better term, a bout of mediumship, like in the wrong time? Like, you're thinking, oh my God, really? Right now?
Yeah, all the time.
Really?
I get it all the time. I had it for such a long... I mean, I can kind of read people's thoughts without meaning to. So that can be tricky when you're in a situation with people and you kind of know what they're thinking, but you can't say that you know what they're thinking. So you just kind of have to like act human, act normal. And when you're around people that are troubled as well, that can be quite tricky because you kind of pick up on what they're dealing with. Or like if they've got some not so pleasant thoughts, they're normally the louder ones because they're struggling with that.
Oh, now, does that happen because they're gifted as well?
Not generally. I can generally read most people's thoughts. The stronger the connection with the person, the easier it is. I don't know why or how it works. Even it just kind of like I get them in my mind as my own thoughts, and I feel people's feelings as my own feelings. So I just tune into the other person like a radio station.
That's amazing. So you also do tarot cards, and to me, tarot cards are just a little weird to me because it's hard to really, for me to understand how that works, really. So when was it that you decided, well, maybe tarot cards would work too? I
was in London. I was living in Amsterdam before, and I went to London, and I walked past a shop, like a witchy shop, and something in me told me to go inside, and I picked up a deck that day, and then I studied every single card on my plane ride home, and like wrote down all the meanings, and then wrote down my own interpretations, and then just like studied and studied and studied and studied, because there are so many meanings connected to each card that it's important to know the history, but it's also important to like create your own connection to them and your own interpretations and let them speak to you instead of like trying to like to analyze them too much. You kind of have to lay it out and then just tune into what's there, because one card in one situation can mean something completely different in a different situation. You just kind of have to read what the vibe is, if that makes sense to you.
No, it does. But it almost feels like the cards call to you.
Yeah, they do. I have one particular deck that's like my baby, and it's golden, and it's like Art Nouveau, and feels very Grecian. I don't know. I love it, and it's my baby.
There you go. And it's funny because I think when we're speaking about with Addie regarding crystals, I was like, well, how do I know that this crystal's for me? She's like, it'll call to you.
It calls to you.
I'm like, what's going on here?
Pick me up. You want me. You don't even need to know what it means. You just have to feel that feeling and just like trust your instincts. It's a lot of witchcraft is like honing into your instincts and like trusting that instinct.
Yeah, that is a fascinating way to see things. And honestly, I was on the Instagram, and I actually saw one. I was like, wow, look at that crystal. So
exactly. So
it just happens. Yeah, it just happened.
Did you buy it?
No, she's like, no, it's already sold. I'm like, all right, thanks, whatever.
Too bad. Next time.
It's gone. And by the way, Addie right now is in the live chat saying hello.
I see her.
Yeah, she's there.
My love.
That's so hilarious. Now, you also said that you do, and this is funny because one of the guys had a question about past lives when Addie was on, but you said that you actually heal these situations that people want to cleanse from past lives.
It's more the reoccurring traumas from them. So like if you had a past life with someone who has created I call it like a contract. That's the only way I can really describe it. But it's something that you connected with that other person, some kind of pattern or instance that then repeats in this life. Then I can take that and heal it, and I burn it basically. I get rid of that connection so that it can't follow you and reincarnate in a future life. It's really difficult to describe. I don't know how to really put it into words. I can also heal things so that they don't happen in future lives, even if they haven't happened in this one. So that has happened before.
Oh, and that's interesting.
I've had someone's child come through. I don't know. She was expecting a child, and the child came through wanting something cleared in preparation for his birth from a past life. And that one was the wildest one I've had for a while.
That's interesting. So he's like making a request before he's even born. It's my kind
Pretty
of kid.
much, yeah. He was up and in it.
No, I love that. That is awesome. Have there been situations where you're like, yeah, I really don't, I can't heal that. Nope, sorry. It's too much. It's great. It's like huge. Have you ever come across?
I don't think that if I did, I would seek support from other witches, and we'd maybe collaborate and like do it together. But I haven't come across that yet, because I don't think that kind of situation would manifest itself to me if I didn't have the capacity to handle it.
Oh, gotcha.
So what I see is generally like what I can deal with, and I kind of trust that if I'm being shown it, that I can handle it. But if that was to happen, I would be like reaching out to people such as Addie to like weigh in on it and give me a hand. Sometimes it does take more than one.
Yeah, I can honestly see you two getting together and tackling things. That's
oh yeah, for sure. Like we work together quite a bit.
Yeah, and as far as mentioning that, when we were on the phone for a brief couple minutes, you told me about your love for horror, and that led into other things. You're like a jack of all trades. Why don't you share everything you do?
Oh gosh, I love horror. I mean, I've been so scared of like the supernatural, paranormal stuff for such a long period of my time, my life, my time, that I kind of lent into making horror films. For me, it's almost a way of like understanding the stuff that I'm afraid of and taking control of it, because if I'm making it, then it's not quite as scary, and then I understand the behind the scenes of it.
Right.
I don't watch horror films at night, but I do love horror films, especially anything supernatural, anything paranormal. I love the whole of Blumhouse, like everything they produce, obsessed. One day want to work with them. That's a dream of mine. But yeah, no, I've made 3 short horror films so far, and there's other stuff on the horizon that I can't really talk about because, you know, such is the world of the film industry. But right. I'm an actress, I'm a writer, I'm a producer, basically.
That is fantastic. Like I was telling Charlotte, she's like a jack of all trades. She is into so many things. It's incredible. And to be into like acting and making films and then also being a medium, geez, that is a lot for one person.
I've done a reading for someone on set before. Like,
oh, have you?
I was working with a girl. We were making a music video, and then she asked for a reading, so I did a reading for her, like in the makeup chair after we'd done shooting, and we were both like crying, and it was a really powerful reading. But we were like all messed up because we'd just done a scene together where I died, so I was covered in like fake blood.
Oh,
and,
really?
I was covered in like fake blood on my chest because I'd been shot, and I was like covered in like this fake dirt. I was really grimy, and she was also like really messed up, and we were so emotionally exhausted from the scene. And then I did a reading for her at the same time, and she's also a witch, so it's weird the people you come across sometimes in your path, but the worlds collided at that one particular moment. Yeah,
that's incredible. So what's the difference between someone who's a psychic, a medium, a tarot card reader, and someone that identifies themselves as a witch?
A witch is more, it comes with the practice. So like witchcraft for me, it's different for everyone as well, because you get witches that come from all backgrounds. You get like Christian witches and then pagan witches, and you have like the Wiccans, and then you have people who are just like into the nature aspect of it and the elementals. You even have like dragonic witches who work with dragons. Like, there is everything out there. So it's more of an umbrella term. And a lot of witches do practice mediumship as part of their trade, like of divination. And generally they have psychic abilities of some capacity. Like, not everyone has the same psychic abilities. We're all unique in that. But a witch comes more with like the practice of things. So it can be like spell casting, or like working with candles, or working like making like elixirs, or like literally using a cauldron or tarot cards, or like spell jars. It's whatever you make it. It's very open as a practice. There's a lot you can do within it.
Here's a weird question. Do witches ever get miffed with each other?
I guess, because they're human beings. So
yeah. I was wondering, what would that be like, when psychics or witches just get mad at each other? I just wonder what that's like.
I mean, there can be hexes involved.
Really?
So if it's not such a nice person, then they know how to do something. They can send something your way, and then you kind of have to protect yourself from it. Luckily, that hasn't happened to me, but I have known it happen to others. But that's the one thing you have to look out for if you get on the wrong side of someone who maybe isn't the nicest witch, because human beings.
Can you tell someone's placed a hex on you?
Oh yeah, you'll feel it in like your energy. You'll feel really tired or drained, or you'll be getting ill for no reason, or something will break that was completely fine or brand new, or you just instinct. You're just like, oh, that's not right.
Yeah, that's just incredible. It's like another thing, like the tarot cards. It's for someone who doesn't go through it, it's hard to picture that. You know what I mean? Because we see it in film. Because like you said, a lot of this stuff is captured in film. Popular television series, about witches, werewolves, and vampires, and all that kind of stuff. And so you see things like hexes and stuff like that. But to know that it happens in real life, it's totally different.
Yeah. It's more about the intention. Like in films, they glorify it in a way, and they show it in a very visual means, because it's a visual media at the end of the day. But a lot of witchcraft, it comes down to intention. So someone can send a hex to someone purely through their intentions. Right. So if you have bad intentions for someone, you can send bad stuff their way without even meaning to.
So no sparkly fingers, nothing like that. We're just
nothing like that, unfortunately. I mean, I wish. My last name is Potter, and I take that very seriously. I would love to wave a wand and Wingardium Leviosa stuff, but it just doesn't work like that. Doesn't work that way.
That is hilarious. Now, as someone as talented as you are, do you ever seek advice or a reading from someone else?
Maybe not a reading necessarily, but advice. I'm always looking to learn as much as possible. I it's something that you're always growing in it. Like, to say that you know everything is frankly quite arrogant. Like, no one knows everything. That's part of the journey. Like, I have friends that I would reach out to. I'll do my own research. I'll read books. I'll watch documentaries. I'll learn as much as I can about everything all day, every day. And that's part of the magic of it, is there's always more to learn about yourself and about the craft.
Right. So do you ever sit around with Addie and she's like, oh, by the way, your great grandfather's coming through, and then she's like, oh, I got to tell you this.
That hasn't happened yet, but I'll welcome it if it does.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So one of my great grandfather's like, actually, I haven't really heard much from him. My ancestors are quiet. They barely talk to me. Like, my granddad popped up one time. I tried to talk to him, and I left him he loved whiskey. He was a soldier during the war.
My kind of guy.
So I left him a whiskey, and he kind of showed up, and he's like, what do you want? Like, literally like that. And I'm like, just want to check in, have a chat. And he's like, I got nothing to say. And I'm like, all right, well, I got you some whiskey. Do you like the whiskey? He's like, yeah, it's all right. And then he just disappeared. And I'm like, okay,
that is
cool conversation. Thanks. A man of very few words.
Very few words, yes, no kidding.
So he'll just eat his fish and chips and drink his whiskey, and he's happy.
See, who wouldn't be, to be honest? Who wouldn't be? So what is your perception of what people say the other side, or what's on the other side of the veil, another popular term?
It's difficult to say because I don't really have one foot over that side. I'm not so much of a death witch. I know that like when you pass on, you have a choice to come back in many senses. You can come back as a guide for someone else. You can come back and kind of observe, or you can come back with a new life, either in this realm or in others or in alien worlds. But ghosts as such, they tend to be trapped, so they're not really ready to make that decision, so they just kind of get stuck in the limbo. Sometimes they're completely unaware of the fact that they died, if it was a shock or if it was traumatic for them. They can kind of like get a little bit stuck in between. Sometimes they will, like, I had a ghost in my old apartment and she was murdered. I didn't know this when I moved in. I got the apartment in Amsterdam and I moved in, and then I saw a news article come up on Facebook about a court that was going on of someone who had been murdered, like quite brutally, and it turned out she most likely had lived in either my apartment or one surrounding where mine was, like one nearby. And I didn't know this, but I'd been seeing like a shape in the corner of the bedroom and getting some pretty nasty vibes coming from it. And the kid upstairs in my upstairs apartment would wake up every single night at 3 a.m. on the dot, like screaming bloody murder, crying his eyes out every single night without fail. And this poor girl who had been, had her life taken from her, she just was so confused about what was going on and where she was, and she was so like tormented, and she's just stuck in that state of torment. I did work to cleanse my space and protect my space, and protect the building as a whole, and she kind of calmed down her energy then, and she actually stuck with me when I moved here to the Channel Islands in the UK, and she came along with me. You. She did for a bit, but I told her to bugger off. I told her to go away. I was like, it's cool. Like, I'm glad that you've gotten over some of that, but like, go make your own way. Like, I don't need you following me around. I'd rather you. She was like, it's okay, it's cool. And she disappeared. But she was just coming to check out my new place. I think that she liked the fact that I acknowledged her existence. Because for them, you have to imagine, like, they go around through their like ghostly lights. Nobody sees them. Nobody hears them. They're just kind of like drifting and feeling lost, and then when they see that somebody can acknowledge them and can see them, they're going to cling to that, and they're going to want to communicate and get that recognition. And it can be extreme anger that comes out because they're so frustrated and they're so hurt still, or it can be like sadness or empathy, or just even like joy that someone's there and someone's listening.
Yeah, I could imagine it's like a roller coaster for them, right? Having to go through all that when living, and then trying to figure it out when they passed.
I cloak my car when I go out because I drove past a house here and I got a bad feeling from it. I spoke to my mum. My mum was like, oh yeah, that woman committed suicide. And I'm like, oh great. That was why. And she followed me back here and screamed at me.
Wow.
So,
now, I've spoken to a lot of people that, they're mediums, and they go to places. Some of them, for some reason, here's the thing. If I was a medium, I wouldn't go to haunted places, because that's a lot of work. But I would imagine that sometimes folks that are gifted like you, accidentally, like you just said, might come across maybe like a dark entity. Have you ever had that experience?
Oh my God, yeah, of course. I just like constantly have my protection so up in my home. It doesn't happen in my home because they can't get to me. But like I said, I was driving to the beach and I just drove past this house and with my mom, and I was like, oh, that's bad vibes there. That feels really bad, really upsetting. And then she was like, oh yeah, that woman committed suicide like 2 weeks ago. And then that entity just followed me. But it couldn't enter my home, but it followed me because it felt heard by me, and it was tortured. It was really tortured. She was struggling.
Yeah, I bet. It's pretty sad.
It is, yeah. I mean, I maybe will try and help her eventually, but I'll take my time.
Like I said before, when we first got started, before the podcast started, there might be some questions that would come in from the live chat. And I have a question from Green Man for you. And
I see it.
You see it, yeah. So what do you think? Why is he
Why
having
do I
those
get
headaches?
around 3 a.m. in the morning?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Well, the veil is the most thin at 3 a.m. So if you
really?
do have... Yeah, it is. That's the time where it's horror films. It's always 3 a.m. because that is the time when the veil is the most thin. It could be the fact that you have some mediumship abilities and you're picking up on stuff, or it could be that there's something there that's trying to communicate with you, and if you don't want it there, just to do some protective work, which can be as simple as like getting, I don't know if you would know crystals at all. There's like obsidian is a great protective crystal. It's black. Or you can light a candle for protection if you don't want it to come in. But it sounds to me like if you're waking up with it, that maybe they were trying to communicate with you in your sleep, and then that's their way of getting your attention. But also, if it's just a headache, make sure that you're hydrating as well, and that you take care of any medical side of things, because I don't want to just put it down to like supernatural. You always have to check out the side of things that could be physical and it could be medical first. Always, always, always.
Yeah, it almost seems like, so you would say, in your mind, you would think that if it's happening to him at 3 o'clock in the morning every time, then he could be a little sensitive to his area. Yeah, that's interesting. By the way, we do call him Tom Selleck, so it could be. He could be channeling something from his movie days.
He may well be.
Yeah, I believe it. I want to say what's up also to Game Vet and Dre, who has joined. He apparently says now we're doing English accents. Yes, we are.
It's real.
It's real.
English.
It's
I'm
happening.
Sorry. Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, that's hilarious. By the way, guys, if you have any questions for Charlotte, please feel free to you can call in. You know how to reach 972-290-1329. You could use @bosscrawler through Skype, or you can just, if you're in the live chat, go ahead and put it into the live chat. She's actually there. She can see it. So there you go.
I can see you all.
Yeah, she's watching. Green Man says he's channeling a stash. I believe he is. Eventually he will grow it. I'm telling you. So with all your gifts and all your talents, how do you balance all of this? Because you have some real, I hate to say real life stuff, but you're doing movies, you're producing, all that kind of stuff. And then you also have the paranormal side, the mediumship, tarot cards, and healings. How does all of that balance out in your day?
I mean, the mediumship stuff is just, it's integrated to who I am. So it's kind of like I don't really know how to exist without it. The energy work and the tarot readings that I do for like my business as a Renaissance witch, that I do appointment based, so I kind of schedule my own time around that. So I can schedule that around like film work that I'm doing. I just kind of keep my own books there, my own schedule. I sleep a lot, and I take weekends and Mondays off, so I have like a long weekend every single week so that I can like recharge a little bit. I take a lot of baths to ground myself. I love a good bath. Spend time in nature, spend time with my animals. I have a cat called Bunny and 2 bunnies, and they're my whole world. Just like to ground myself and bring myself back from the chaos that is sometimes. I also wear, when I'm doing readings, I wear a necklace which protects my heart from any heavy emotions I may deal with in that reading. So when I take that off, I take off the emotions, and that way it doesn't follow me throughout the rest of my day and my life. That's a useful tool.
So mediumship, and I've heard this from other mediums, it can be very draining.
It can be, yeah. You have to watch how much energy you have, because you can only give away however much you have, and you don't want to give away all your energy, otherwise you'll just get yourself sick and exhausted. So like being aware of what your limits are is incredibly important to any medium, any energy worker of any type.
So Dre has a question, and I guess he wants to reach the astral plane.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to do that would be through meditation. I don't know if you practice meditation at all, but meditation is kind of your key in. It's being aware of your energy and I would suggest grounding yourself first, because if you're going to reach the astral plane, you're going to be potentially astrally projecting or having a bit of an out-of-body experience. So to protect yourself, your physical form here being incredibly important. There will be a silver string that ties you, like a cord, that ties you to your body. So if you want to go back and you do find yourself like projecting out, just look for the silver cord and just follow it back, and you'll go straight back to your body. That the idea that you could get lost out there is a bit of a myth, because that cord is unbreakable. But just protect yourself first. Always protect. It's like anything else, protection first, protection always. And then work on your meditation practices, and work on like knowing what your energy is and how to move yourself out of that space. It will come to you eventually. You just kind of, it's a bit more of a practice. You can't just meditate one time and expect to get there, because it's like a muscle that you have to work to learn.
And that's interesting. And I'm glad you told him about the cord, because as soon as he said that, I imagined him just being lost for days,
just floating off.
Yeah, and his body's just going to be there for like a week. And everybody's wondering what the hell's going on with him. So thank goodness.
Time does move differently up there. So if you feel like you're up there for a week, it's probably not. It's just time doesn't really exist up there. So you're going to have a bit of a warp.
Yeah, I think you should tell his
wife
he's doing that.
Like when you dream as well. When you dream and you feel like you've been dreaming for like a week and you wake up, you were in the astral plane. That's another way to reach it, is through dreams and lucid dreaming.
So how would he protect himself?
Just be aware of the fact that he can follow that cord back, to be aware of what feels safe and what doesn't feel safe. And if he feels unsafe, just to follow the cord back.
Dre, you gotta let us know if you tried. Well, if you tried and you're successful, can you see the cord?
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, that would be exciting.
Out there. I personally don't astrally project too much, because I'm a little bit too much alien that I get lost up there. So I prefer to keep myself on Earth whilst I'm on this lifetime.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I'm glad you brought me back to that, because if you're giving us so much information, I'm getting lost in it. But let's go back, because earlier you said about alien worlds. Tell us a bit about that. How do you perceive that?
They're just like Earth but different. I don't know. they just look like an alien world, that different species living there. Time moves differently, energy moves differently. The only thing I can really describe of it is that, like, if you want to do something, you, at least where I know that I'm from, if you want to do something, you kind of have to think it and it will happen. And so when I'm here, sometimes I can get a bit like confused, that I don't just think and then things come to me immediately, that I have to like physically put things into place and like take steps towards a goal instead of just like thinking something into existence. Mm-hmm. So if I'm in like a negative spiral, I get a bit like freaked out. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to make horrible things happen. I'm like, oh wait, no, I'm not there, I'm here. So I'm just, my thoughts are going off.
So if I were to ask you, do you believe in alien worlds elsewhere?
Yeah, of course.
Now, is that just because of your abilities, or is it just because, God, there's got to be?
No, well, it's just, I mean, if you look at like theoretical physics, there's almost no way that there couldn't be. And especially within like string theory and stuff, that, you know, there are multiple layers of dimensions upon each other. And what we see in this dimension, that's just what our brain can perceive, and our brain interpreting, you know, the neurons that are being fired. That's not necessarily that is all that's there. That's just all that we're able to understand and interpret. So I'm very open to all possibilities. I think that we kind of have to keep an open mind on what could be.
So you mentioned earlier that Addie said that maybe an alien past life for you?
Oh yeah, no, she calls me an alien all the time. A lot of my friends do.
Oh, a lot of your friends do. Okay. I thought she saw something.
No, it's been a thing. No, I mean, they say that I'm definitely an alien. I don't have the memories of it, because you get your slate wiped clean as you arrive in this lifetime. But I mean, a lot of the things that I do feel very effortless for me, and a lot of people say that it's very difficult and there's a lot of work, but it's just kind of like it comes naturally to me, and that's one of my signs that I have a lot of alien in my history.
So one of the things that we have a Discord group, so one of the things that we touched upon was, of course, the astral projection. And, you know, we all started watching videos and doing a little research here and there, but it was also complicated, right? Now, you just explained to Dre possibly a way to get that started, but are there any dangers involved with this, or there's always that security cord, that almost umbilical cord to your soul?
Yes.
Is it always there?
That's the interpretation. Yeah, that will always be there. That you don't need to worry about that. That's constant. It's unbreakable. No matter what, it's there. If you fear that it's not there, you just simply have to look for it and you'll see it. Obviously, because there is good and bad, you know, always there are things that aren't necessarily the best out there. But so long as you do your protection ahead of time, you'll be fine. So long as you're aware of the fact that, you know, sometimes you have to come back.
Right, sometimes.
I would say lighting a candle is the best way to do it. Like, if you've got the intention to do it, to light, I mean, if you're going to get witchy, it will be a black candle for protection, but white candle can be substituted for anything.
Okay.
So you light the candle for protection and then do your meditation and you'll be okay.
So Drake, get the candle. I can see him.
Candle,
yeah. Gotta protect this guy. I don't know what he's planning to do, but we'll see what happens.
He's
now, he does have
some mission, isn't he?
He is, truly, he is. By the way, he says, ask about how to see past lives. He's, you know, I think somehow in the core of him, he's into all of this, and it just comes out when we have psychics on. Yeah, totally.
To see a past life, sometimes people have dreams of them. I could ask you if there's anything that you feel interested to, like, explore in history, if there's anything that, like, calls to you, like a time period or I don't know, something, some little nugget of history that intrigues you, and that's often a bit of a sign that maybe you've had a life there. Not everyone has like a long list of past lives, because there are newer souls and there are older souls. I would say if you're curious about having a past life, you probably do have at least one. Meditation, you can get flashes of it, and in dreams you can get flashes of it, or you can get a reading with someone who does past life readings and they will help you out with it. There's I think a meditation on YouTube you can watch that a lot of people have sworn by, so if you search like past life meditation through YouTube, you might find one there. That could be a good resource for you.
No, that's fascinating. So
the guided meditations, they kind of take you under their little wing and lead you on the way.
So it's kind of like a soft voice that kind of guides you and gets you deeper and deeper until you release the cord.
You generally travel with those past life meditations. You generally travel back in your life until you were a child, and then back from that, and then you'll see what comes up. That
is amazing. In many ways, it's a little scary too, right? Because you really want to know. Do you know?
Sometimes it's traumatic, and you don't want to know.
Right. Jeez, that is incredible. So, what does the future hold for? I'm not asking for you to read your own future, but what do you think the future holds for you with all these things that you have going on?
I don't know. I have high hopes for things. I mean, I have this motto that, like, if you can think it, then it's a possibility for you. Like, if you can think it as an option, you can make it happen. So I have pretty big goals and ambitions, but I don't really want to disclose because I don't want to like jinx myself or like tell anyone and then they wish it for me not to happen and then they like send bad vibes my way. I'm hoping to make like some feature films within my film business, work on my acting career once obviously things are a little bit safer in the world, continue working on my business, helping people through like my contract clearings. It's a huge way that I love to help people, like so they're a bit more free to move forward in their life without that pattern following them. And I've got my crystal business as well, which I'm working on, so lots of stuff. multifaceted human right here.
Exactly. Jeez, with all the talent in one person, that's amazing. So, do you ever get a lot of questions about this COVID-19 situation?
Not really. No. I mean, my mom is a nurse. She works in the hospital, so like any questions around me would go to her.
She's the
in the witch community, it's pretty clear that, you know, medical stuff is dealt by medical people. You kind of have to not cross over that boundary. That can be dangerous to people assuming that they can heal things with physical stuff, with magic. It's just a little bit dangerous there. So I haven't really come across that at all.
So now, if folks want to reach you, let's say they want a reading, maybe a tarot card reading, would they do that through Instagram?
Yeah, the Renaissance Witch on Instagram. Hit me up. I'm there.
And actually,
I work mostly in my evenings because a lot of my clients are in the US, actually.
Oh, really? Oh, so you're used to this. You're
oh, yeah,
like you said, a night owl. I see.
I am. I have to watch it, otherwise I become fully nocturnal.
Yeah, that is fantastic. So one of the things that you guys can do, if you want to reach out to Charlotte, the Renaissance Witch, the link, the link to her profile on Instagram, and also her name on Instagram, the Renaissance Witch, is also on there. You can take a look at that. Reach out to her if you have any questions. And you also deal with crystals too, so that's fascinating to know.
Mm-hmm. I do. I run the UK store of Sun and Moon Gems, Addie's business. So that's all good fun too. So the UK and Europe, I hook them up with their crystals. That
is very nice. So you know what? So do you have an Instagram for that particular store as well? Or do you guys just share the one?
Sun and Moon Gems UK. It's the same as Addie's, but with a UK on the end.
I'll have to go on there and see if any of those crystals call out to me. Because sadly enough,
I'm just launching it like literally in the next couple of weeks because
okay.
I just moved back to the UK from the Netherlands, so it's a new start. I'm very excited.
That is amazing. But listen, we got another question here from Dre's wife, Davina. She thinks there's a ghost in her house. How does she check?
I mean, first of all, check for physical stuff like the pipes and all that kind of jazz to see if that's what's causing it, or any I don't know, like circuit related issues, because some people will put that down to supernatural stuff. You want to be careful in communicating in case it's something that's not necessarily good. In the effort of communicating, you give it power. The acknowledgement of its existence gives it power, gives it energy. So if it's something that's not got the best intentions, you don't want to feed that. If you want it gone, you can cleanse your house. You can do that by, a lot of people will use sage to cleanse, but that is a closed practice for the indigenous people. I would recommend the easiest and safest way, honestly, to do it is like boiling a pan of water on the stove with some like rosemary and some lemons in it, and that is a cleansing solution. You can also mop your floors with that, or you can use salt, but be careful in putting salt around doorways, because if you have something in your house and you put salt around the doorway, you block it inside your house so it can't leave. You can always get someone to do like a scan of your house if you have a medium locally to you who can come out to go and have a look. If you feel comfortable communicating, maybe a pendulum is a good way to communicate with it.
Oh, really? How would you use it?
You can use simply a necklace on a chain, and you hold it up and hold it above your hand by the end of the chain, so the heavy weight on the bottom holds the string and the chain taut. You ask it which way is yes and which way is no, and it will move accordingly. So my yes is like straight forward and backwards, and my no is like left to right. And then you can ask a question like, is there a ghost in this house? And if it says yes, then you can take that, and if it says no, then no. And I would do more than one test on that just to knock out any flukes, to make sure it's not like just the wind as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's fascinating is that I know that she's had previous ghost experiences. So it almost reminds me just now that she said that. It reminds me of your story when you had that young lady of a ghost follow you. It's like,
yeah, it could have followed her.
Yeah.
It is possible. If it likes her energy and it's like interested in her, it can attach itself to her, in which case you can do a detachment. They have to listen to you. If you tell it to leave, they have to. It's like, it's the law. If you open, particularly if you are cleansing, open the window, tell it to get out, leave my home. This is my home, it's not yours. I do not want you here. You're not welcome to stay. Get out. Be firm, and they have to listen.
Sounds like Dre might even take out a Ouija board, but Ouija board seems to be a little dangerous, right?
I wouldn't do a Ouija board.
Yeah.
It gives it more of an open door. It becomes a portal.
So Dre, don't do the board. Stick to your soul traveling.
Pendulum is safer.
Yeah. Do the pendulum instead. Now, here's the one thing that I proposed to Charlotte and also Addie and also Chris is that this would be something that would be demonstrated better on video.
It would.
Yes, it really would.
The wonders of video.
Yes, that's going to be perfect. So what I'm planning, and I already explained it to Charlotte. Addie, I explained it to her a long time ago, and recently to Chris, is to have you guys all on one YouTube channel so that we can see these things. And because I'm sure Davina right now has probably got all kinds of chains she's dangling somewhere, trying to figure that out. But it's better if she sees it, just like with the tarot cards, as Addie said before. So I think it'd be great to have the three of you guys on YouTube, and people can really learn from that, from watching you guys.
Yeah, because I can show the pendulum. I can show the motions of it. My pendulum is special as well. It's made for me. It's got selenite and obsidian, so the light and the dark, and so I can reach like darker realms with it, but still have protection from the selenite. Whoa. That's my little baby. Very useful.
Mm-hmm. And she says, I guess she says, wow. I'm not sure if she's wowing. Yeah, what does that mean? Jeez, can you be more descriptive? Well, Charlotte, it's been fantastic having you on. Folks, if you want to reach Charlotte, please go to the Instagram account and hit her with a message, questions, anything like that. She is more than willing to speak to you, especially in late hours of the night. Do you ever stop talking to people at 3 o'clock, or do you run right through it?
I have a little bit of a rule that, like, she's using big words for me, he says. Oh, gosh. Sorry, I have a little bit of a rule that, like, past midnight normally, like, once I book my sessions till around maybe 11 p.m. being the latest, and then I try and wind myself down and go to sleep. Otherwise, my insomnia gets the best of me, and I forget what sleeping is and become fully nocturnal, like a bat. So I have to watch myself a little bit. So I have a bit of a cut-off time with my phone where I'll put my phone in the other room and I won't take it through. Otherwise, I get drawn in by Instagram and like TikTok and social media, and it's a whole thing. So yeah, I kind of have to protect my energy a little bit there, and I don't also work over the weekend, so that's another bit of a boundary that I have. So I separate the worlds a little bit.
There you go. You got to give yourself a break. You can't be running full speed all the time. Yeah.
You run yourself into an early grave. It's not good.
Then you have to seek out a psychic to finish your business.
Exactly. Then you'll come at me,
right,
driving my car back from the beach, and like scream at me because you want to be heard. Which I don't appreciate.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Charlotte, it's been fantastic having you on the podcast today. Hopefully, we'll all get together real soon, and we can really learn from you guys as far as what you do, because the three of you are really genuine in how do you handle your paranormal psychic affairs. I've never had so many psychics all at one time that seem so genuine, you know what I mean? And not looking for just, giving out fake news.
No,
You know
I
what I
take it
mean?
very seriously. It's a huge responsibility. Like, I will have readings where I'll hear something and I'll be like, I can't say that to them. And I protect people all the time. And my clients, like, I have such a disclosure with them. I will not share any information of any of the sessions, even to like my family or to my closest friends, because that's personal. That's what they've shared with me. And it's kind of like spiritual therapy. Like, I take on a lot of traumas and depressions, and I really want to protect that. And I'm so careful with what I tell people and what I narrate to people, because it is a massive responsibility. Because what you say can make someone, make a decision that may not be for the best. So you have to be aware that you explain everything to them and you protect them from that.
Right. Totally makes complete sense. And because people who seek out the other side or psychics or things like that, they find themselves in very precarious situations. They're really sensitive.
It is vulnerable. They're generally people that will reach out to you will be in more of a vulnerable place. So I'm always really just respectful and careful with that. I understand trauma, from my own experiences, and I just my only aim is ever to help people and to help heal people, and I would never take advantage of that. It's just a human decency, in my opinion.
Yeah. Except for Dre, he just wants to astro trip, but
Dre is off on some missions.
He sure is. Jeez Louise. Well, thank you for being on the show today. I appreciate you being here, and I look forward to having you guys all together.
Thank you.
And guys, don't forget, check out the Instagram account and hit up with any questions you may have. And please, don't do it past 3 o'clock. It's dangerous.
My sleeping time, guys.
Exactly. All right, everyone. Until next time, ciao.